With the upcoming release of Assassin's Creed Mirage and not many details revealed, it's important to understand what is going on with this game, the potential release date, and also everything that we know so far so that you can be informed about the game for whether you want to buy it or not, or whether you're interested in certain details about it or not. So if you are looking forward to that, please leave a like and subscribe as I'm making more videos, and if you enjoy it, why not subscribe to see more? So starting off, they said specifically, the developers, that the game is supposed to go back to the roots, and when they say back to the roots, they more so mean the older style Assassin's Creed games, obviously. And whenever they say older style, I think they really mean Unity style, because they specifically mention that social stealth is going back into the game, and it's going to be like Unity's social stealth system, to where you can just go in between a small group of people seamlessly, and it blends you in. But in games like Assassin's Creed 2, the social stealth is a little bit different, as there's like a little white line that traces the people, and it's a bit harder to stay connected and to actually blend in. It's kind of like they're not really people, they're just moving objects, but in Unity it felt a bit more real. So I'm really glad about that, and I hope that it's going to work out the way they planned it to, because they did say it's difficult to do, but that's what their plan is as of now. Another aspect of the game is the ability to use multiple different tools. Like in before, there would be like a weapon cogwheel to where you can use different darts or bombs or whatever it happens to be, and they specifically confirmed that you will be able to use the smoke bomb, which is pretty obvious given a lot of what we see in the trailer. It appears to be red smoke bombs, if we see that correctly. I'm not sure if it's just some powder or what it would be, but I assume it's just a smoke bomb. There's also going to be throwing knives back, and a very important detail about these is that they specifically mention that these items can be upgraded, which has me thinking that you'll be able to increase like the damage or the range or the amount that you have, whatever it happens to be. And a little bit of a loose thought I had, which is somewhat connected to the weapon customization, is that I think that the game may involve city districts and building up different areas, kind of like the old games, to where you would have different shops or different stores, whatever it happens to be, and as you gain more districts in the city, you would be able to control more and upgrade more and such, which is just a little bit of a rumor that I thought personally could be true, just because they mentioned specifically you can upgrade your tools. So I think that given that we have that system and it's mostly just Baghdad itself, there was going to be different districts, obviously, and you'll be able to control different ones and potentially have different stores and such like the older games. But the ability to do those city projects are just a rumor that's coming from me, which I want to know what you guys think about that, because that is just a thought I had. It has nothing to do with the article, but I believe it could be in the game just because I think it would make a lot of sense. So next, we talk about the story specifically, which is that there are no dialogue choices and there's no leveling system, which I think is important because that means that the story should be quite streamlined, given that we don't have the leveling system like previous games, to where in some cases you would have to go off and do side quests or whatever it happens to be in order to get to whatever level is needed to be strong enough to take on the main quests, which I think this game being allegedly grounded and having no dialogue choices and no leveling system is going to be a lot like the older games, obviously, because every enemy was of about the same difficulty, or you could get more abilities and such and upgrade your abilities to do more to those enemies versus having to actually level up some arbitrary number. So I think that makes a lot of sense, and no dialogue choices I think will streamline the story itself a lot and make it a lot more cohesive than being a bit more bare bones if you have a character choice. Because I think the main drawback of the character choice in the previous games is that it really limits the story and doesn't allow for a story told about one specific character. They've had to kind of make the story a little bit wishy-washy, which I think you can definitely tell whenever you look at Origins versus Odyssey or Valhalla. So I think it's a really good change, and I'm really glad that it is allegedly coming back. That is not fully confirmed, but it is virtually confirmed. Another thing is that Eagle Vision and the Eagle itself are back, which makes a lot of sense. We've had like the Eagle, the Raven, whatever it happens to be, but with Eagle Vision being back, I think that does make a lot of sense, just because it's an actual assassin that we're playing as finally, or a hidden one, I guess. And having Eagle Vision is something that was a little bit limited in the previous games. It was there, but not like the same exact thing. And I think just going back to it would make a lot of sense, especially since they're trying to be grounded. And another aspect, which is definitely confirmed, are the visions of Loki that Basim has, and it will tell the story of how Loki takes over Basim. Because, spoiler alert, in Valhalla, Basim is Loki and Eivor is Odin, so it makes a lot of sense that we're going to see how Loki takes control over Basim and how he slowly is corrupted. Now, moving on to the potential rumors that are not confirmed whatsoever, but a couple of these make sense. One of them is a little bit outlandish, but I don't know. So first, we're going to start with the things that make sense, which is a potential Constantinople DLC, which will tell the story of how Basim meets Sigurd, as mentioned in Valhalla. Because if you remember in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Sigurd and Basim talk about how they met in Constantinople, and that is how they were able to go to England together so that the Hidden Woods could establish a base and try to retake England. That is a major part of the story and the reason why Basim and Hytham are in England again, and I think it makes a lot of sense that they would do that with the DLC, especially considering the game is at a cheaper price. Having the DLC, even if it's not a major thing, it would definitely help Ubisoft get a bit more revenue, even though it's not the normal price, which I think does make a lot of sense. And another rumor is the release date, because the original release date was allegedly April through June 2020, which is coming up very fast. It is currently February. And I think the problem with that is that there have been no new details about the game except from different articles that have released with developer interviews or whatever it happens to be, and different leaks, but there's no confirmed information, no gameplay footage, no anything, except for what was shown at Ubisoft Forward last September, and then the random articles and leaks. So I think it's really important to understand that the release date is definitely not going to be April through June, because I think they would be crazy to release it like that, and it's almost definitely confirmed to be in the fall just because of how the release is working out, and I think they're going to reveal details in the late spring to early summer, as in April through June, which I think would make a lot of sense if they go for a September to October release date. And lastly, the very outlandish rumor, which could be true, but I don't think is going to happen, is a potential AC1 remake using Mirage's assets, which could be involved in a season pass. And the problem I see with this is that they could most definitely resell an AC1 remake on its own without it being in a season pass, because people would pay for that versus it being a lot cheaper through a season pass. And the reason I say that is because it says specifically remake in the leak, which is different from a remaster, because a remaster is just updating the textures and the assets, but a remake is a complete overhaul of the game to make it look brand new compared to what it looked like in the past. So I think it's important to look at that and see how they can make AC1 basically a brand new game versus just making it look a little bit better, because I think that they would definitely go for a full-scale release of it on its own standalone for a higher price than for a season pass. And if they did come out with AC1 again, I most likely think it would just be a remaster, because it does make sense for them to reuse Mirage's assets for a remake, but I think they wouldn't put all of the effort into that, considering they already have the other projects of Red and Hexy, or however you pronounce it, all of those different Assassin's Creed projects, and I just don't think that they would be able to have the resources or the time to do a full-scale Assassin's Creed 1 remake whenever they could just do a remaster. And it still might not even be in a season pass, because I think that's been requested so much that it is going to not be in a season pass but standalone considering Assassin's Creed 2 had the Ezio collection with updated graphics, Assassin's Creed 3 had the remaster, Assassin's Creed 4 still looks great, and every game from then on still looks great, but Assassin's Creed 1 is the only game left out of updated graphics or whatever it happens to be to make it look better or feel new. So I think the main issue with that is that Assassin's Creed 1 is definitely not going to be in a season pass, at least as far as I know. That would be very generous if they did that, and especially if it was a remake. But if it is just a remaster, then it could be in a season pass, but I don't think it's that likely, and I just don't even think that they would put in the resources to even come out with any sort of new Assassin's Creed 1 version, whether it's a remaster or a remake. But they could surprise us, because as far as I know, there's no concrete information on that, but it would be a very, very exciting thing if they did it. So I want to know what you guys think, seriously. Make sure to let me know if you've watched this far. Let me know what you think about all of those details. My personal favorite of all of these details, honestly, would be the Constantinople DLC, even though it's just a potential rumor, obviously. I think it would be really cool seeing Constantinople in another light versus what we saw it virtually 600 years later whenever Ezio went there in Revelations. I think that it would look a whole lot different, and I think that it would be awesome to see the changes over time and also connect it to Valhalla, even though Valhalla's a bit of a meh game in my opinion. But I think that it would still be a really cool connection for them to do. So let me know what you guys think below. And with that said, make sure to subscribe to see more. And I'll see you all in the next video.